I wanted to make a quick video talking about what could make the anime better, what could fix it in some ways. Because the anime, as much praise as it gets, and in a way it's deserved praise, I do think that it could be better. There are issues with it, but that was inevitable from the beginning. People back in 2015 were even talking about the adaptation for a potential anime in the future, and even they were like, I don't know how we're gonna do it. It's gonna be done wrong in some way anyway, no matter how you do it. And from what we see, that kind of came true. As great as the anime is, again, good fights, good whatever, it's cool to see everything visual. I'm very grateful for the anime, but it could be better because in order to adapt it in an anime format, they have to skip so much stuff, even things that shouldn't be skipped. Even things that could very well fit an anime style, they still skip it. And so I'm not going to make this video here just complaining about the anime. That's not what I'm doing. That's not the point of this video. I'm not just going to complain. What this is a discussion of kind of what if things were a little bit different. What if they decided to, instead of have a 12 episode core season 1, part 2 crap that Attack on Titan popularized, thanks. Instead of we have, I'm a little toxic, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't like that format. I think that it's stupid. It should just be season 1, season 2. It doesn't have to be part 1, part 2, whatever. If it's supposed to be one season, just make it all at once. I don't care. I get it that we're going to talk about that. The only anime that I think that would be needed to have season 1, like part 1 and part 2, is One Punch Man. Season 3 has to be split up. I will say that. I'm already on a tangent. Point is, I don't think that this format fits Mushoku Tensei well. Mushoku Tensei should not be a 12 episode core series because a lot of people I've talked to who have seen season 2 don't like it at all. They feel as though absolutely nothing happened in it. And when you break it down, not much did. For us book readers, it was 3 books. It was 3 whole books long, and we have already sat through 6 books so far. And one of these books was very action-packed. It had a lot going for it, and ultimately doesn't matter in the end, though. Volume 7, very pointless, if we're being honest. But that was a whole book, and it felt very full. It felt like there was a lot going on. And then we have volumes 8 and 9, which don't feel as long as the anime kind of portrays it, right? On one hand, this book feels like a lot. On the other hand, this doesn't, even though it's double the size, and that's mainly because of what we've experienced in the past. Volume 7 really did just feel like more Mushoku Tensei. It's him being depressed, now just without Eris. But then we have this very calm arc, and obviously it does continue into the next volume, the slice of life kind of aspect, but as of right now, in terms of the anime, it's just 2 books, and we've already sat through 7 books of nothing but action, really, except for the first couple, but that's introducing us to the world. But this is the first part in the series where there really is no magic, no nothing, it's just talking and character development. But it didn't feel long in comparison, but for the anime, yeah, it felt long. You have basically, you have the first couple episodes of this. Episode 0 was actually more of that slice of life stuff, for the most part. Just dealing with Sylphie. And episode 7 lasted like 2 to 3 episodes or something. I think it was 3, maybe 4 episodes from what I remember, is what's volume 7 adapted. And then the entire rest of the series, we have been waiting over a year for season 2, only for the first couple episodes dealing with characters that won't ever matter ever again, just to be pushed aside in the first couple episodes. And now it's nothing but anime, like nothing but slice of life stuff. And again, I'm not complaining. Because I experienced it in the books, it felt so much better. But this is from the perspective of people that I've talked to. And I'm trying to just explain it. And the issue is, and now they say, the people that I've talked to, they're like, well, now we have to wait like a year, basically. It's, it's half a year, but still, until something actually happens. And I reassure them like, hey, no, don't worry. Stuff will happen next season. You are going to kind of regret your words, right? I think you'll want to go back to the common peaceful stuff because season 2, part 2 gets rough. There's a lot. Oh my god. But that's not... It's very exciting. But the point is, season 2 felt very long. These 2 volumes felt very long when talking about the anime. because of the long break that we had before season 2 and then the long break that we're going to have for the next part of season 2. All of that together makes it feel very slow, is my point. And it felt like nothing happened because in a way, nothing did. For the book readers, it makes sense. It's only been a couple books. Not much happened, but also there's a lot of skip stuff, which don't worry, I'll be making videos about that. Don't worry, skip content's coming back. And so for us, book readers, it made a lot more sense because we got a lot more character development for many different characters. We had a lot more Luke, Zenoba, right? Even more Juliet, and a lot more Fitz internal dialogue. Much like with what they did with Eris, which pisses me off, the anime, I'm sorry. They decided to skip Sylphie's point of view of the story. Of ever since volume 8 or, episode 4 or really episode 0. They decided to skip her point of view of the story and her inner monologue and whatnot, just like they did with Eris, which is one of my biggest issues with the anime, is that they skip different perspectives. We got a lot more Sarah's point of view. We got a lot more, I guess there's not too much other points of views after that, but it's Sylphie. We have a lot more Sylphie point of view that we skip in the anime. We got a little bit of it in like the second to last episode, but that's about it. And we completely skipped her entire side of the story, which goes into her thought process of everything. And the reason why we skip all that is because of the constraints. I'm not just complaining to complain. I'm going to give a solution. It's an unrealistic one, and the ship has sailed already, but it is a solution, and I kind of just wanted to talk about it. Mushoku Tensei right now does not work as a 12-episode core series, right? It doesn't work like that. Even if you were to double the length of the books, that still wouldn't or add more episodes, right? Because it's about 4 episodes per book. Even if you were to make that 6 or something, it still wouldn't fix anything. Just because we still have that break in between, and it'll still feel like nothing happened. There, even in season 1, there was an anime original episode. The final episode of the season was an anime original for the most part. A good chunk of it was not in the books or anything. It is completely original when they could have spent that time doing other things. And so you have this problem of, do you add in stuff, do you add an anime original stuff, or do you just adapt the source material? Because you can't do both. Or, for example, in Volume 2, we get 100,000 years worth of history. 100,000 years. We get the creation of the worlds, essentially. In wars, ancient wars amongst different races, there's different universes and whatnot. And the collapsion of them. But the anime skips all that. It is stuff that could have taken an entire episode's worth, seeing the point of view of all these different characters and seeing this giant war take place. But we skip that in favor of stuff that can't exactly be skipped. And so in some cases, it makes sense why you can't skip some of this content. But on the other hand, it's still important information. There are 6 universes in the Mushoku Tensei world. Technically, there's more because Rudius came from a different universe altogether, but the main Mushoku Tensei world is 6 universes. 5 of them are gone and collapsed and destroyed, while the last remaining one, the human world, habits all of the different races, and it was changed to fit them. Anime people don't know that, right? That it's crazy. And that's something that is important lore-wise to introduce and to explain. And so how do you do it? The point is, all of this is me trying to, I said that I'd come up with a solution. What is the solution? Basically, it doesn't matter. My solution doesn't matter. I'm not going to change anything. This isn't going to be like, we can't really petition this to change it because it's already set in stone at this point. Mushoku Tensei would thrive so much more if it weren't held back by episode count. If we do continue with the trend of 4 episodes for every volume, we would have about 104 episodes, which is a good bit, but I personally don't think that is exactly enough. And I think that something more like 125 to 150 would make a bit more sense, because the reason why I get that number is it's even lowballing it because this number seems a little bit high. If we were to give every book 6 episodes instead of 4, that's not too much. That allows us to have Volume 2's extra, entire history, right? Or it gives us an extra episode on Zenoba, or on Cliff, or Juliet, or whatever. Linny and Presena, we can have more of them. Or you could waste an anime original episode, right? But doing 6 episodes per volume gave us 156 episodes total, which does feel like a little bit much. I don't know if every volume would need that. But on average, I do think that about 125 to 150 episodes would work for Mushoku Tensei. and without the restraint of cores. Again, it's what Mushoku Tensei, the issue with it is you can't sit down and have an episode talking about magic, or you can't there's a few stories that Rudius had as a kid that Paul would read him, and it's about like, I believe one was about the North God, right? There's one talking about Perugius' journey, and I feel like the anime mentioned them, but we didn't go into detail about it. There's so many different labyrinths that we find out about, and some of which are kind of important, right? Some of these stories at the beginning of the series are important for the late game. And yet we skip a lot of it just because we can't adapt it. It's not exactly possible given the episode count restraint. And so I think that a good format would be just a long series, kind of like the old school. I mean, a lot of 80s anime, a lot of 90s, and some early 2000s have a very long format where you just have hundreds of episodes just keeping on going, right? But you see stuff like Bleach and Dragon Ball. I believe Dragon Ball is going with a 12 episode format now, which is weird, but even Bleach did that as well with its 1,000-year Blood War. And you see a lot of these series going with that 12 episodes per core kind of format, but there still is stuff. I believe what Detective Conan's still going on. There's One Piece, right? Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon have these long formats. So it is possible. It is absolutely possible, but the issue is time and money, and kind of just workforce and labor, right? You don't want to overwork these people. And so this is why I think that a very good format would be, don't really care about the episode count, right? Just keep going and maybe pause for a few months, half a year at, I would say that season 1 was a good endpoint. Season 2 is a good endpoint. Kind of just take a break then, right? At the end of every 6 books or so, take a half a year break and then get back to it. But in between then, you have however many episodes that you need to adapt the series. A lot of these shows do not worry about episode count because they have things to tell. They have things to do that are not able to be that aren't able to fit within an entire 12 episode season. Literally, Frieza's 5 minutes I think is longer than most anime, right? That on its own is longer. And so to adapt Mushoku Tensei in that kind of style, but modernize it by giving breaks, to your workers would work. Because some people would be like, oh, well, again, we'll go through the 3 issues, right? The people, right? The overworking their workers, give them breaks. Half a year break every so episodes. Or we could go like One Piece, where you have One Piece goes, I believe, 3 chapters, then a break, 3 chapters, then a break. And you could even do that if you wanted to, just to give constant breaks at least once a month, right? That would allow them to really just have breaks. Or again, have just longer seasons with no specified episode counts and then have a break in between then. I think that on its own would work. So that kind of solves that issue. Then you have money. Studio Bind is literally a studio created to do Mushoku Tensei and that other weird anime. I don't know why they added that, but it was originally created for Mushoku Tensei. I think it has the budget. I think it does. And when it comes to that, Mushoku Tensei is one of the most popular light novels ever. It always was. It is what redefined the genre of isekai. It didn't create it, but it redefined it. And so it obviously had a following. And as much of a following as Re:Zero, really. Which we know that series is very popular as well. Obviously, testing the waters, you don't know if something like this is going to get popular, right? So obviously you're not going to put 150% into this. You're going to test it, with 12 episodes. Right? So it makes sense, but at the same time, I think Mushoku Tensei was guaranteed to be successful, especially with the rise of isekai anime. Having a longer episode count would definitely make it stand out as well. And it would kind of show its age, because this one is a bit older than most other isekai out there nowadays. And now time. I don't actually know what to talk about with this one. The point that I'm trying to make is there's so much more to Mushoku Tensei than what the anime shows, and that's kind of what my purpose here with the channel is what I'm trying. And I think that the anime could be better is what I'm trying to get at. There's so much more to it, and I want you to either watch my videos or buy and read the books, because they're amazing. The books, not my videos, because there's so much more to it. And if you aren't a fan of season 2, I totally understand, because it seems very slow. I know a lot of people did like it, but a lot of people don't. And as a book reader, obviously we're going to like it. because we were presented in a different way. We don't have that issue of, oh, I waited so long just for this, like a lot of what anime onlys have. That's kind of their thought process, at least some of the ones that I've talked to and seen online. And I kind of just wanted to go through almost like a what if scenario, even if it was very brief, talking about how you could really adapt to Mushoku Tensei in a different way, right? Having episodes, anime original episodes, and you could have episodes talking about lore, about like books and stories, and then 100,000 goddamn years of history, right? Or you could do stuff about Zenoba and Juliet. I don't know why those are always the two examples that come to mind. The point is, you can have all these slow episodes without like kind of hindering the progress of the series, because you know we're not, after 12 episodes we don't have to take a break. These slow episodes would only just be a part of it. Then you get back into the action of things, unlike with how it's presented now. And it's, I waited a year for what? Now Sylphie and Rudius are together. What else happened this season? Rudius has a slave, he's going to school. Nanahoshi. A lot of the stuff, it doesn't feel important right now, is the problem. That's what the person I talked to said, is that it doesn't feel important. All of this stuff I listed is very important later on, but right now it means nothing. And so it feels like nothing. But if you were to have that longer episode format, it would just feel like a little slow part back into the action, and it would just flow much better. And we could have all these episodes dedicated to these very niche kind of things in lore and story building, or whatever, lore words. So this went on for a little bit longer than I had hoped. I just wanted it to be a quick little discussion, but alas, I ramble. And again, no hate to the anime. I think that it's really good. It's okay. It's fair. It's not bad. It's really good as pushing it a little bit, I'll be honest. But I do appreciate that it exists, at the very least. Could it be better? Absolutely. Is it realistic, though? Having this longer episode count, I don't know if that's exactly realistic to have. And that is part of the issue. But again, if we were to modernize this kind of format, it would work. Much like how we're modernizing the 12 core or whatever. We've always had, 12 core anime, but it's never been split up like this ever before. And so we are changing the format, and so it would be nice to be able to blend the two together, to be able to have long-running anime also in a realistic time format with giving people breaks. But I don't know, I just wanted to go through my thoughts on this, talking about what could make the anime better and why some people will have an issue with it, I guess. I'd love to hear what your thoughts on this are, on the subject. Did you like season 2? Did you not? Do you have another solution in mind, perhaps? I don't know. I just want to hear your thoughts on this. Or maybe this, I know it's not just me complaining about season 2, because I'm not complaining about season 2. I thought that it was fine, but other people are. I'm just vocalizing their opinions here, but it could just be me thinking that we need to have all this other stuff. I don't know. But if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe for more Mushoku Tensei content, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.